I'm attorney Phil Jusino, and this is the Phil Jusino Show, coming at you from Strathmore Studios. My special guest tonight is Hector Gavilla. Good evening, Hector.
Hi, good to see you.
Before we get into the show, I just want to tell you that this show will be seen on YouTube next, and then on TV, Cablevision, channel 115, Thursday nights. But this particular show will be seen on the 25th of January, channel 115, 10 p.m. Thursday. And this coming Thursday, you could see the show with Barbara Williams, and the following Thursday, January 18, comedian Paul Bond. So let's get to it. Hector, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Before we get into this lectin-free diet discussion, I have a very important question to ask you. And this is probably the most important question, even though this is an election year. I'm going to ask you a question that's probably even more important than anything that's going to be uttered. If I go on a lectin-free diet, can I go to Taco Bell?
No.
Danny, please just go to commercial. You just burst my bubble. I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Right, of course.
Tell us a little bit about what a lectin-free diet is and what are its origins.
Okay, well, a lectin-free diet is really about knowing what foods will make you sick, okay? I believe that all diseases start in the gut. I
think Hippocrates said that.
Yes, exactly. And it's very true. So what happened with my story was when I was around 22 years old, I started having digestion problems. And I went to the doctors, and they told me that I had IBS, but basically they couldn't figure out the source of the problem.
Right.
And they just said, make a list of foods and good luck. And that was their answer. So for years,
nothing got better, I guess.
Nothing got better, and I had all kinds of inflammation. But what happened? Steve Jobs, right? He died from pancreatic cancer,
Right.
and that was in 2011.
Very lethal cancer.
Yes, and I read his biography that year that he died, and I always made that connection between food and making me sick. So I read in the book that he had a fruitarian diet where he ate fruit. That was mostly his diet.
Not even vegetables, fruit.
Mostly fruit, okay? And I made that connection in my mind that the food must have killed him. So for years, I kept Googling, is the food killing me? Is this food making me sick? Is this doing this and that? Because I couldn't figure it out. The best advice doctors were telling me at the time was just watch what you eat and be careful, and exercise. And that's it.
Right.
But they couldn't tell me what to eat, what not to eat. Fast forward to 2020, and this is during the
COVID.
pandemic, right? Where I thought I was looking great and I was exercising, but someone took a picture of me, and I was very depressed at what I saw in the photo because the exercise that I was doing every day, riding a bike, still wasn't helping me lose weight, and I was exhausted. I wasn't feeling great. So I started at the same time. I was still Googling, but that was the first time that I saw results from Dr. Gundry,
Right.
and he started explaining what was the cause of all the inflammation that I was having in my body. And what I found out was that there are foods that we're told every day are healthy for us, but they're actually making us sick. And what this food does is it actually creates a hole in your intestines, like a bowling ball going through a wall. And by making those big holes in your intestines, it allows the poop to literally go into your bloodstream.
And this is poisonous.
Yes, it's a toxic, and it creates all kinds of havoc throughout your entire body.
Now, I did my research, but I'm going to ask you, what exactly is a lectin?
Okay, a lectin is a protein that's found on the skin and seeds of several plants. And
It's a defense mechanism.
it's a defense mechanism that the idea is that if you eat, for example, a tomato, or an insect
Right.
eats a tomato, and the lectins are in the skin of the tomatoes, it should kill those insects, that they'll learn not to eat it again. Because just like humans and animals will run away from predators because they don't want to be eaten alive, plants don't want to be eaten alive either. So the only defense mechanism they have is a chemical one, and that's the lectins that are on the skin. And the reason it's on the seeds is because the idea is that if you eat the seeds, then you're eating their babies, and they cannot reproduce.
Okay. Now, again, in doing my research, I came across a couple of articles, and one said it was a Harvard School of Public Health. It said, in spite of claims that a lectin-free diet can cure some health conditions, these claims are not backed by sufficient scientific evidence. Now, this is an article from August of 23, and it says, and going lectin-free may in fact do more harm than good, according to some experts. So, what would your retort be to that?
Okay, I love that because they say that the critics say not enough studies have been done. Guess what? They don't want the studies to be done because if everybody followed a lectin-free diet, we would put doctors and drug companies out of business. That is a fact. Because I will tell you right now, by going on a lectin-free diet, I have reversed my high blood pressure. My high blood pressure is gone with no medication whatsoever. I also used to have asthma. I say used to have asthma. That's gone as well. I used to suffer from headaches almost regularly. Gone. Okay? And the one most amazing thing that I didn't realize would happen, I was suffering from gum disease so much that my dentist was getting very upset until I went on a lectin-free diet, and then he asked me for the list of the foods that are good and bad. I'm probably the only patient that my dentist ever had that the gum disease reversed 100%. Right. That I am now 100% medication-free, my friend.
That's amazing. There was another one, and this is a little bit older article from June of 18. Behar, I can't even pronounce his last name. It says there are serious concerns about whether a lectin-free diet provides all the essential nutrients. Now, you mentioned a little while ago tomatoes. They have a lot of antioxidant properties.
Right.
So you're saying don't eat tomatoes. Are you saying don't eat tomatoes?
No, I didn't say not to eat tomatoes, but what you have to learn how to do is how to properly prepare the tomatoes so it's safe for consumption, just like your ancestors did. You're Italian, correct? Yes. Okay. Now, do you ever make tomato sauce?
I eat tomato sauce. I don't make it.
Okay.
I'm not that advanced yet.
Well, the real Italians know that to make tomato sauce, they remove the seeds and the skins because that's where you find the lectins that the old Italians, your ancestors, my ancestors, knew that those lectins would make you sick. So in order to make Italian sauce, which we make at home all the time, you just have to remove the seeds and the skin. Okay. And by the way, do you know where the tomatoes originally originated from? Where they came from?
No, I do not.
They came from America.
Oh.
Okay. And that's another reason why there are foods that are high in lectins are still not safe for us to digest because they're not originally from the continent where we all came from. We are humans, all humans.
So tomatoes are New World.
Yes. And you know, it's funny you say that. They're in the New World because we could blame Christopher Columbus for this because when he discovered the New World, they started bringing food from the New World back to Europe. And in Europe, they, of course, discovered ways to make it safer to digest. So generally speaking, not all the foods, but many of the plants that originate from this continent, we still cannot digest properly. And if we don't properly cook it and know how to prepare it.
So preparation is key.
Is key.
You got a couple
That's correct.
And a lot of people saying hello, good evening. Quite a few people watching. Hello from Atlanta. Yeah, that's Ed Velbig. He is a regular. Ed Velbig, Jolene.
I think I know him.
Hello. Ed Velbig again. Now,
great.
I know there's a lot of talk with lectin-free diets, beans and legumes.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, very good. Well, beans are very high in lectins. They have it on the skin and the legumes as well. Now, what's interesting is when I first started talking to my mother, who's a retired RN, that I was going on this lectin-free diet, she thought I was nuts. Okay, however, now
might have been for some other reasons, but okay.
But now she's begun to understand.
She's a believer.
Well, because I not only did I
she sees the results.
Inflammation, but I lost over 60 pounds. I have more energy because I don't know if I mentioned this phrase yet, but it's the leaky gut syndrome.
Yes, he didn't, but yes,
But
I read
that's
about
what it
that.
is. So when you stop eating foods that are high in lectins or learn how to prepare it properly, then you seal up the leaky gut and you're actually able to digest the food more properly. But getting back to the beans, my mother shared a story with me. When she was a little girl in Cuba, she would cook beans with her grandmother. And it was a process that took 4
Wow.
hours to make safely. Now, she didn't know it at the time, and probably her grandmother didn't know it either. But it was a process of rinsing the beans, soaking them in water, and dumping the water and soaking it again. And she actually told me that she would see clouds of smoke coming from the beans and bubbles.
But who has 4 hours? I think Taco Bell does that, don't they? But who has 4 hours?
That's the problem, because when we moved from the farms to the city, we didn't have time as humans to prepare food properly. So today, what do? You get
Mm-hmm.
beans from a can, and can you really trust that the food company is
You don't know.
preparing it the same way that my great grandmother
Probably
and
not.
my mother? Probably not. And this is why we believe that people are suffering from all kinds of inflammation. And it's not just weight gain. We're talking about arthritis,
Diabetes?
heart disease, cancer, diabetes. All diseases can be reversed if you only
Reversed,
learn,
not just prevented.
not just prevent it, right, but take gone. I have a good friend of mine who had heart disease and diabetes. He read the book, and I didn't give him props yet, but Dr. Gundry saved my life. I did mention Dr. Gundry.
I read one of his first books. I have it
The
upstairs. Like a
Plant
red
Paradox.
Yeah, that's it. The Plant
Right,
Paradox.
the Plant Paradox. And that's why I learned a lot, okay? And it literally saved my life because I followed the diet. In the beginning, it was hard for me to follow the diet because there was a lot to learn.
Yes.
But now I'm
And a lot of
doing this.
contradictions from what we thought we knew.
Correct.
Or had been told, like the food pyramid.
Right.
You know, we live by that for a while. Then you say, wait a minute, that's not really the way to eat.
Correct.
And now this thing is like, wait, I can't eat. And again, as a misnomer, you're saying you can eat tomatoes. It has to be, or beans. They
Right.
have to be prepared properly.
Correct.
But a lot of people just think, oh, it's lectin free. I can't eat eggplant. I can't eat tomato. I can't eat beans. You're not saying that.
Well, what I'm saying is that you got to be careful because there are foods like, it's funny when they say organic and organic safe, but not necessarily. Okay.
Okay.
Because if you take 5 raw kidney beans and grind them up and ingest it, that'll kill you. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yes.
I haven't tried it.
And
But I
don't
did.
try it,
I will not.
please.
Don't try it at home.
But the point is this: if you don't cook the kidney beans properly and they're undercooked, they will make you sick. And what's scary is that you may not make that connection between arthritis and undercooked kidney beans, for example. So you may
No.
have some ailments and not realize that it's because of something you ate.
That's amazing. A couple of things. Plants from other continents, the reason why we have some digestive problems.
No, the plants that we have problems with are primarily the plants that originated from this continent.
Well, some of them are nightshades, they call
The
them.
nightshade foods are really dangerous. And if you want to eat eggplants and you want to eat those nightshade foods, maybe eat it in moderation. But what I will tell people, and I've been telling people, is this: if you're suffering from any inflammation, whether it's arthritis
And that's a killer.
or diabetes or anything, then pay attention to what you're eating and look at the list of the yes. I have a yes list and a no list, like the good foods and the bad foods.
Right.
And I have it available on my website that people can download. And the reason that's very important is that if you don't want inflammation anymore or you're tired of taking medicine, by the way, I never tell people don't take medicine. Only your doctor could tell you this.
Exactly.
But like my friend Victor, when he saw the transformation I went through, and I went through a big transformation, you saw the before and after. He came to my office one day and he said he couldn't believe it. A few months later, I saw him again. Not only did he lose some weight, but he was the one that told me his cardiologist took him off medication, wanted to know what did he do. And his regular doctor took him off the diabetes medicine. And again, wanted to know what did he do. And
amazing.
all it was changing his diet.
I got a question. Ed Velbig says, if you don't mind answering this, what was your blood pressure and what is it now?
Okay.
And then Brenda Iso said, give us an average diet. We're going to get to that. But first, The blood pressure, because it's a big deal.
That is a big deal. Well, my blood pressure now is very normal. It's 120 over 80.
Okay.
120 over
And
80.
and how high was it?
You know what was really sad for me to say, just like my weight, I didn't pay attention to it. And that's what a lot of people do. They have these problems, but it was very high. It was high enough that my doctor was very concerned that I had to go on medication.
Okay.
And then the amazing part is that once I went on this diet, I check it at home also, my blood pressure.
Right. I have one of those little things too.
It's amazing. And my doctor is couldn't believe it.
Do you? It's funny. I read recently that taking it lying down might be more accurate. What have you heard about taking it at home?
Oh, the blood pressure?
Yeah.
That I don't know, but I'll give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Well, let me put it to you this way: nothing is 100%. Because you could take your blood pressure on one arm, get a different reading,
Right, or even
on
10
a
minutes
different
later.
arm, or a different time of the day. You could be stressed out and so on. So that's not something like people shouldn't freak out if it's a little higher some days, a little
Mhm.
lower. But generally speaking, if it's way too high, you have inflammation. It means you have leaky gut. It means that you're eating food that you can't digest. We like to call it the anti-nutrients because it's literally creating holes in your gut, and it's allowing the poop to go through your bloodstream and cause all kinds of problems.
The leaky gut. I read that.
It's called the leaky gut syndrome. And like I said, the conventional doctors are scared of this because there's no money in having healthy patients. They don't teach
Right.
preventative medicine in medical school.
Right.
That's the problem here. What they teach instead is you have a problem.
Reactionary.
Here's a pill. You have acne. Here's a pill. Like, for example, dermatologists don't want you to know that cutting out bread could probably clear up your skin.
White bread or all bread?
Any bread. But if you're going to eat bread, white bread's probably a little bit better.
Really?
Yeah. Believe it or not.
I heard the opposite.
Well, here's the other thing. Well, because that's why they call it a paradox, too. What do you think is better, brown rice or white rice?
I heard brown rice. I've been eating white rice lately.
White rice is better. Because you know what the difference is? A lot of
Less
people
processed.
Well, no. A lot of people
Really?
don't know this. The white rice is really brown rice, but they took the skin off. That's the difference.
To make it white.
Yes, to make it white, to expose it, and it has less lectins. It still has lectins, but it has less.
Okay, so
lectins.
white's better than brown.
White is better than brown because the brown rice has the husk, the skin around it. And
Right.
remember, what's the idea of the lectins? It's a defense mechanism that's
Okay.
found on the skin of some plants, and it could cause problems for some
Right.
people.
Now let's get to a day in the life of Hector Gavilla.
Yes.
What would you suggest to my audience they could have for breakfast?
Okay, very good question. Okay, well, you are what you eat, but you're also what the animals eat.
You calling me a burrito?
Okay, burrito. You are what you eat, but you're also what the animals eat. So let's start with eggs, for example. What you should do is pay attention to what they're feeding the chickens. So I start my day with pasture raised chickens. Not pasteurized, but pasture raised. That literally means that the chickens are free to roam around.
Is that like range free? Same kind of language?
No.
No?
And that's the problem with the food industry. There's so many different phrases and terms that are very confusing,
So
even for me.
pasture
Pastured raised chickens. Now with
You
that,
taking that down, Danny?
yeah, and what that means is that the chickens literally are free to roam around the grass, eat the grass, the bugs, whatever grub is out
Mhm.
there. They're not inside of a house. Now, the crazy part is don't get caught up in the phrases like cage free. Cage free just means they're not in a cage, but they could still be inside of a coop. And they're, if you watch, there's some documentaries I watched recently where they had all these poor chickens on top of each other,
Right, I've seen that.
sitting in their own poop. So that causes diseases for these chickens. So you
Mhm.
might be eating diseased chickens. But the point is this. I start the breakfast with pasture-raised eggs.
Okay, and also chicken when you eat chicken?
When I eat chicken,
Where do you get that?
I also try to get pasture-raised chickens.
And
Okay, that's difficult to find. I buy it at Trader Joe's, but
Mhm.
there are some options online
Okay.
that I've been noticing. But also, I've been noticing that even regular stores now, ShopRite, are beginning to sell more of these. Grass-fed is another option
Okay,
too,
so grass-fed or pasture raised, either chicken or
or
eggs.
right, or eggs. Correct, correct. Now, it's really. I'm not just saying this, but when I started eating this way, I felt so much better. It is
Mhm.
unbelievable. At one point, before I discovered the pasture-raised chickens and the pasture-raised eggs, I stopped eating chicken, and that by itself felt so much better. It's unbelievable.
But you still eat chicken, but it has to be that
It
pasture
has to
raised.
be pasture-raised.
Okay, now when you have eggs in the morning, let's say, does it matter how you prepare them?
Yes. Okay. What I also do is I don't use butter. Okay. What I'll use is coconut oil. That's another part that you should know as well, Phil, is that the oils you use can affect you because typical restaurants might use canola oil,
Right.
okay, or vegetable oil that has corn in it, and corn is so bad for you. Corn is very high in lectins, and corn is something that we should never eat
Under any
under
circumstances.
any circumstances. But unfortunately, corn is something that is a filler, and it's in everything that we eat, almost everything that we eat. If you go walking down up and down the aisle and you look at the labels, you'll see there's corn
Corn.
syrup,
Yeah,
right?
I see that.
Cornstarch, a lot of things with
So
corn.
how do you make your eggs?
Okay, so what I do is I'll use the pasture raised eggs. I'll put coconut oil,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll do avocado oil, um, and I'll put that on the pan so it doesn't stick on the pan. I'll also add avocados. Sometimes I'll add some
So
spinach.
avocados are good.
Avocados are great.
I heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, because avocados are high in polyphenols, which also helps. It aids in the digestion of
And no
food.
lectins.
No lectins. That's a
Right.
totally
And that's
lectin-free
a fat
diet.
avocado as opposed to a fruit.
Right? But see, the misconception though is you're talking about fat. Misconception is that it's not about fats. It's about
But it's a
the
good fat.
it's good fat, but it's more about like the components of the food that you're eating that you can digest. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to. So unfortunately, we're told by experts, like you mentioned the food pyramid
Right.
before. Grains are part of the food pyramid, but
They push that.
they push that because it's the industry that pushed it. If you want to know the truth, because there's a lot of companies. There's only like 3 or 4 food companies in the United States, and they're so powerful, and they push that.
With the
But
lobbies.
yeah, exactly, with the lobbyists. But grains are something that we should never eat because they're very high in lectins and something that we cannot digest.
Right. So you have the hard-boiled eggs would be fine.
Hard
Right?
boiled, as long
I
as
like
they come
hard-boiled.
from chickens
Same
that
thing. So
are
it's
pasture
it's not so
raised.
much. Well, it's if it's the right eggs,
Right,
whether you fry them or whether you hard boil them or
right,
poach them, you're good.
right. As long as you fry them in the proper
Proper
oil,
oil.
not
Okay.
none of the seed oils. Remember, SEED. You don't want oils that are the seed
Seed.
oils.
Okay. And then let's say a typical now you're a real estate.
Yeah, I'm a real estate broker.
Right.
Yes.
So you're out there in the world every day. I'm an attorney, so I'm in court. You're showing houses, whatever. So we don't have a lot of time.
I know.
It's not like you can go home and spend an hour and a half preparing food. What do you do for lunch?
Very difficult. I'll be honest, it is very difficult. That's one of the biggest challenges that you will find.
So how do you meet that
So
challenge?
what I do is I will beforehand make a plan, and I will look on a website. Most restaurants have their menus online, so I'll check to see places that have a lot of salads because salads are safe.
Yeah, I wish I ate more salad. I don't really eat salad.
Sure, sure. And as far as the proteins, you know, I'll do it in moderation because look, the truth is, it's virtually impossible to be lectin free. Because not just going out to lunch, but you go to a party, you're invited
Right. And you
somewhere
go to
to eat.
dinner. I see you. I
Yeah,
see you on
exactly. I
Facebook.
go to dinner, once a week, and I do break the rules occasionally because it's hard. But at least I know and I see what my body can tolerate. Okay, I've been at this now for 4 years. That my gut now is very strong. I have a very strong gut lining, and as I mentioned, all my inflammation is gone. Thank God. So there is a point. In the beginning, I tell people go on a strict diet, lectin free, totally, because you have so much damage you did to your gut over the years. They have to rebuild it. But once you rebuild and you're strong, then you could reintroduce some
Right.
foods and see how
Okay.
you do. But to answer your question, I'm very careful about what I eat. So I'll go to online, see the menus. But like places like delis, for example, where they have salads, where you can customize your food. That helps a lot.
Right, you can say I want a little bit of that, a little bit of that.
Right,
But what do you do? And the problem, one of the problems I see is protein.
right, and it costs more. Well, I'll okay, lobster, but see that's the
Ooh,
problem too. It's expensive, but lobster's caught in the wild. Let's talk about fish, for example. What's nice about fish is that if you could get fish that's caught in the wild and not farmed,
right.
that's
I
safer.
try to avoid farm.
Right.
Whole Food sells it.
Yeah, exactly. So you asked earlier about some of the foods that I buy. I'll buy, at Whole Foods. I'll buy at Trader Joe's, but I'm starting to see regular supermarkets are having that too. So when it comes to protein, you want to get wild
Wild
caught.
caught.
When it comes to fish, and when it comes to other animals, you want to look for terms like grass fed or the pasture raised. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now going back to going to a restaurant, you can't know where they bought the food from, and you
Can't.
don't know where those animals what they ate. Okay, so it's kind of like buyer beware. Also, you don't know what oils they might have cooked it in.
No idea.
No idea. So if you're gonna eat something, eat grilled as opposed to fried because
Okay,
they might
because the
be
oils, then you
the
don't have to.
oils you don't know.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Got a grilled chicken or something like that.
Right, exactly. Where you have somewhat more control. If you're gonna get a salad, um, go with oil and vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
Olive oil and vinegar. And olive oil is very good because it's also high in polyphenols, which is easier to digest.
I see here Brenda Iso, Mike Iso and Brenda Iso. I've known them many, many years. I played baseball with Mike.
Oh, that's
I
great.
says, my wife and I have CAD, and she says, any helpful hints? Well, you've been giving a number of hints along the way. What about, let's say, dinner? You come home at the end of the day.
Right.
Are you more likely to eat out for lunch, let's say, when you're busy, and then you come home? I know you go to dinner once a week at least,
Right.
but you come home, what do you prepare?
Okay.
And how do you do that?
Right. Well, it's interesting because over the past few months I've been experimenting and I'm trying to do more of my own cooking and preparation of foods.
So you know what's in it.
Yeah, so I know exactly what's in it. And what's amazing is that there are more choices than people realize. So it's not so much of a restricted diet. Okay. I have a list here, for example,
Okay.
I'll show it to you later, but I have a yes and no
We'll do it on the
list.
show, I hope.
Yes, but I have a yes and no list of foods
Okay.
that are good and bad. And the good news is there's more on the yes list than there's on the no list. Okay.
Okay.
So, for example, I today before I came over here, I had steak, but I made sure that the steak was grass-fed steak. And
Where do you get that?
you could buy it at ShopRite now. They sell it at ShopRite, or you could buy it at Whole Foods.
Butcher section?
Yes, in the butcher section. It's not easy to find. You really have to look.
Grass fed.
Grass fed, yes. And I cooked that, and I cooked it in the George Foreman griller because I wanted to make sure it was
The
grilled.
leans? Yeah.
Yes.
The grill?
Oh, it's great. I love that George Foreman griller. I use it all the time. Sweet potatoes are excellent.
Better than regular potatoes.
Yes, regular potatoes are high in lectins, but you see, what's great about the lectin-free diet is you do a substitution. You substitute the potatoes for sweet potatoes, which are much better for you. And then I had asparagus also.
I don't like asparagus. How do you cook your steak?
But I like it medium rare.
Medium rare.
Yes, and I'll cook it on the grill.
Okay. So there's no oils introduced.
That's correct.
Medium rare. Now, if you had it rare, that's not a big deal, right? That
Right.
that really wouldn't make, because steak doesn't have lectins, right?
No, steak doesn't have lectins. But remember, if you eat a steak from a cow where they were fed corn and grains, it might make you sick.
You are
Very
what you eat.
sick.
You said that at
You
the
are what
beginning.
you eat, and you are what the animals eat. Okay. What's interesting is this: it's a well-known secret in the farm industry that they will feed cows and pigs and all their livestock grains and corn because number one, it's cheaper,
Makes them bigger.
but it makes them fatter.
Mhm.
So think about that for a moment. Why would you want to eat a cow or an animal that's eating foods that are making them fat?
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't want to if you knew it, if you had a choice. Also, why would you want to eat those grains and corns if it's making those animals fat and making them sick? It'll make you sick. And what's even worse is that when those cows, when the cattle get indigestion and they don't want to eat that corn anymore, guess what they inject those cows with?
Hormones?
They inject them with the equivalent of Tums to force feed them so they eat
Wow.
more. So you're eating that too. And of course, antibiotics
Right.
and
And
all
I
that
assume
other
with
stuff.
chicken, similar situation.
Similar situation. They're force feeding the chicken corns and grains that they don't naturally want to eat. So that causes them indigestion. So think about it. If it's causing them indigestion, what do you think
Mm-hmm.
it does to us? And some
Mm-hmm.
people may be lucky where they don't get indigestion, but remember, the leaky gut syndrome is all about that these foods that are anti-nutrients are ripping holes through your
Mm-hmm.
intestines, allowing bad bacteria to go into your gut microbiome,
That's it in a nutshell.
and that's into your body, into your blood system. And it's so bad.
Now, Ed Velbig said, "What snacks do you eat?"
That is very difficult, also. Okay, because
I think he just got off the show. No, I'm kidding. He likes his snacks.
right. Well, I'll tell you something that's very interesting about being on this diet is that I'm not as hungry as I used to be. Because before I was on the lectin free diet, remember, I had a leaky gut. So that's a hole. That's like having a hole at the bottom of your gas tank. So imagine you're always filling up your gas,
Right, because you're always hungry.
and it's coming out at the bottom of the
Mhm.
car. You're constantly eating. You're constantly refueling because you're not digesting the food.
Right.
That's the problem that I had before. So now that I sealed up my gut and I have a more efficient way of eating, I actually eat less
And you're not as hungry.
and I'm not as hungry. Sometimes I could go for hours without eating. Okay,
Mhm.
but what
I
I'll
want to
do.
get there. I want to get to that point.
Sure, but what I'll do is I'll eat natural foods that are safe, that are also lectin free. So I'll have berries. There's nuts.
Berries better than grapes, right?
Yeah. Oh, grapes are horrible because there's sugar. Let me get to that too. Sugar is bad. You should eliminate all sugar from your diet.
Which is not, again, easy to do.
It's not easy to do, but natural sugar too is bad for you. Remember this rule: bitter is better. Bitter is better. So the problem with grapes, for example, is that try to eat one grape and stop. You can't.
Oh, they're like
Because
candy.
that's right, because sugar is
And to make matters worse, Whole Foods sells is like it's almost like a candy grape,
right. Yes,
and I can't stop eating them.
I know.
I don't buy them anymore, but that's the problem.
No, that is the problem. And by the way, what I want to, I have this list here.
Okay, I'd
But
like to hear
in
it.
terms of snacks, like good snacks that people may want to try.
Now, did you get this from a website?
Yes, I got it from a website. Then I customized my website.
Can you say that website? Because
Yes.
someone asked. Go ahead.
Okay, lectinbusters.com.
Lectinbusters.com. Simple. Okay.
Yes, and that's this website that I created.
Oh, you created.
I
Okay.
created
I didn't
it.
know that.
Yeah, because I wanted to help.
Somebody had. I think Kathy Eklund had asked, "What's the website?" So
Right.
you just said it.
Lectinbusters.com.
Like Ghostbusters, but not.
No. And very soon I'll have a database on there where people could type in food and see if it's on the good list or the bad
Oh, I
list.
like that.
So this way they don't have to go around with this piece of paper everywhere they go.
It's a great tool.
But to let you know, nuts, and I mean real nuts, are safe to eat.
Pumpkin seeds.
Bad.
Really?
Because they're seeds.
Ah,
The very high in lectins, you don't want that. Now, what I want to let you
'cause
know.
I heard pumpkin seeds were good for because magnesium were good for blood pressure.
Well, that's why his book is called Plant Paradox. But there's other sources of magnesium that you
I just bought some. What are you telling me?
throw it out. But
Really?
you can get like eat spinach or eat other foods that are better. But peanuts are bad.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did.
Do you know peanuts are not nuts?
I read it. Dr. Gundry told me
That's
that.
right. That's right. But do you know peanuts are not nuts? Do you know they're seeds?
Yes.
Yes. So it's hard to memorize all these things, but now I've been at it for 4 years, so
So
it's easier
let's go.
and easier.
Let's read nuts,
Yes.
not seeds,
Right.
and peanut butter bad.
Right. Peanut butter bad. Right. And that's a generalization because there's always some exceptions. Okay. To the rule, but generally speaking, you want to avoid the skin of like fruits and the seeds.
What kind of nuts? What do you think high on the list of nuts?
That are good. Good. Macadamia nuts are good. Yeah, I have the list
How
here.
about cashews?
Cashews are bad. That's on the
Oh.
no
You're killing
list.
me.
It's very bad.
Killing me,
No, but
Hector.
just replace it with something else. Replace
Well,
it
give
with
me a good nut I like.
chestnuts,
Eh.
macadamia nuts.
I don't like those.
What about pistachio nuts?
I love pistachios.
Eat
Oh, okay. I
pistachio.
buy that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. So,
saved
what
me.
about walnuts? What about
No,
walnuts?
I don't like walnuts.
Okay.
Or chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Yes.
Don't like them either.
Okay. That's funny. Tahini instead of
But pistachios, I could eat a ton of them. So
Good.
They're on my list. Good.
See, that's what you want to do. I'll give you this list. You can keep it with you.
Okay.
And then the next time you go grocery shopping, you should consult the list.
Send me a copy, please.
Yeah, I absolutely will. And also you'll go to my website as well.
Make my life a little easier.
Yes, yes.
What about pizza?
You're kidding.
No, I have
It's so
somebody who eats a
bad.
lot of pizza.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
And she's watching the show.
Yeah, because because the dough is high in lectins.
And
You
the
know,
tomato sauce might not be prepared
The
correctly.
tomato sauce is the least of the problems.
Oh,
It's
okay.
more about the dough. Okay?
Bread.
The bread. But they do have grain-free. That's the key. When it comes to bread, grain-free is what you want to look for.
Yeah, but is Tony's Pizza going to serve grain-free pizza?
Eventually they will.
Okay.
I predict within the next 5 years this will be mainstream because more and more people are getting onto this diet simply because they're tired of being sick. They're tired of being on medicine and everything. But by the way, it's very important I emphasize this point. You talked about pizza, but also spaghetti. Spaghetti should be grain-free, not gluten-free.
Mhm.
There's a big difference. By the way, gluten is a lectin.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I
you
might have
would-
heard of it. I
okay.
might have, but I'm
When
not
they
sure.
say gluten-free, what's really bad about that is, like, let's talk about gluten-free spaghetti. They'll replace the gluten with another lectin that's just as bad or worse. So a lot of the gluten-free spaghetti will be replaced with either rice or corn.
What about the spaghetti that's made with other? It's not really pasta. It's made. I'm trying to.
Cassava,
Well, that. But
sorghum.
there's other ones.
As long as it's lectin-free and grain-free, it's safe.
Lectin-free and grain-free, and you can get that in any store.
Yes. Every store I've seen.
Is that on your list?
It's on the list, yes.
Okay.
But I will tell you that I've been to ShopRite, Whole Foods, Stop and Shop.
Lectin-free and
The company I like to use for the spaghetti and the pasta is Jovial, Jovial.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
But remember, tell your audience, grain-free. Don't confuse it with gluten-free because that's no good.
Grain-free.
Grain-free. It has to
Okay.
be totally grain-free.
Okay. Someone asks, is alcohol on the list? Is it lectin-free? Is alcohol lectin? I don't drink alcohol, so for me it doesn't matter. But my audience, they're asking that question.
Okay, well, I'm glad because there is a problem with alcohol. Because how do you make beer, for example?
Ferment barley or whatever.
Right, and what's barley? What category is barley in?
Grain.
Exactly, bad. So beer is bad, unfortunately. I hate to say
What about
it.
O'Doul's?
I miss it. By the way, you know what? You heard the term beer belly, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
think about it. That's inflammation. That's because you're ingesting a beer that's made from grains, okay, that you were never meant to digest. And so your body's not digesting
So
it.
beer
And
bad.
it's causing inflammation.
What about wine, red or
Okay,
white?
red wine is better than white wine.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're going to drink wine. Dark spirits are good. See, it's on the list. It's funny you say that. Dark spirits are very
Dark
good.
spirits. That
Red
doesn't sound too
wine.
good. That sounds scary.
Yeah, but it is somewhat limited with the alcohol. It's only because of the source of the alcohol. If the source of the alcohol is made from something that could be high in lectins, it could cause a problem, perhaps.
Okay.
But the dark spirits are good, like
Dark spirits.
yeah, I don't drink anymore either. And I have to say, it's not that I feel healthier now. Just I eliminated pretty much all alcohol from my diet.
What about cauliflower crusts?
Very good for you.
Oh, okay.
As long as you got to read all the ingredients.
So Mary Beth, indulge.
Yes. What you have to do is you have to read all the ingredients because, if you're going to buy something, just make sure that it's 100% pure, everything that's in there, that they don't add something. Now, you know what? It's hard because when you shop around, you might find there's a product that I like as far as snacks, getting back to the snacks, chips. It's made by Siete, and you can find it at a lot of supermarkets now. And remember, potato chips are bad, but grain-free tortilla chips are good. So they make a product called grain-free. I think it's called grain-free tortilla chips. And I read the back of it, and 99% of the ingredients were safe.
Now, your list has food items. Does it also, like you just gave us a couple of brand names or brands.
Right.
Does your list have the brands?
No, it doesn't have the brands because I'm not being paid by anybody right now, but I will talk about certain brands to help people in your audience and my friends to know what to go shop for, especially if it's helped me.
Because, like you said in the beginning, it's not an easy thing to follow.
I know.
But the easier it gets made by people like you,
Yes.
the book, Dr. Gundry's book, makes it a little bit more palatable for someone like me to say, you know what, I could. And again, even if I don't do it 100%, and let's say I do it 70%, I will benefit.
100%, exactly. You will benefit. Even if you do 70%, 80% of the time lectin free, it's better than what you had before.
I'm going to just throw out some food items, and let's see if they fall in that lectin free. Oranges.
Um, they're okay. The other problem though with oranges is that they've been genetically modified. A lot of the fruits have been genetically modified. So I would say eat it in moderation.
Okay. Bananas, I heard, are not good.
Bananas.
Well, we got to eat them when they're not when they're ripe.
Yeah, you read the book. With bananas, you got to eat them before they're ripe because remember,
So
bitter,
a green banana is not bad.
green banana is not bad, but bitter is better.
Plantains, same kind of principle.
Same kind of principle.
Okay. Right. So bananas early on, not when they have all the spots on them,
right?
Because then that's bad.
Right.
Oranges in moderation.
Right.
Okay. Berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, good.
Depends. Okay. There's a problem with blueberries.
Okay.
Blueberries have been modified.
But not
blackberries. Sweeter.
Not strawberries?
Strawberries are safe. It's really scary because you want to trust the food industry, but what does the food industry do? They'll make foods bigger. It's like these fruits are on steroids.
Right. I've seen that. So strawberries and blackberries. But blueberries.
Raspberries, blueberries.
Okay. Really?
Used to be on the yes list, but now it's
Wow.
like eating candy. They're very sweet.
And of all the berries that I eat more blueberries.
Right. And I have to tell you, I still eat blueberries. So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I still eat it, and I seem to be okay with it. But again, in moderation.
Okay. Pears.
I'll have to consult my list.
Because for Christmas, someone gave me a fruit basket, and there were 2 pears. I love pears. I don't go out of my way to get them, but I ate a pear. Is that one of them? One of the items that's good? Do I get the green light?
I'm not sure. I'd have to get back to you.
Okay, because pears are not. Okay. So now, among the oranges, you know the oranges sometimes you see in Fresh Market, or the funny ones that look like the skin is all wrinkly.
Right.
I love those are the sweetest. But then again, you said
sugar
bitter is better.
Bitter is better, right?
I got about 4 of those in my bin inside. So.
Right, because now let's talk about sugar, for example.
Okay.
Coffee and also drink. Coffee and tea is very good.
I like tea.
Okay, so that's on the yes list.
Okay.
Which is good, but don't put sugar ever again in any of your drinks.
I put a little bit.
No, what you want to do
brown
is
sugar.
If you're baking with sugar or you're putting, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, over here. Okay.
Or either one.
Okay.
Danny will focus in on it.
What you want to put in your drinks, or even when you're baking it, or whatever you're cooking in requires sugar. The best alternative is monk fruit sweetener.
Monk fruit. So it says sugar. Be careful of your mic.
Well, it's not sugar. It's,
I know I'm saying instead of sugar.
Instead of sugar, right?
You use that.
That's
Do you have
correct.
the same kind of taste?
Yes, it tastes
And
exactly
is
the
that
same.
someplace you got to like hunt it down, or is it?
No. Well, keep in mind, all these foods I'm talking about, you could also buy on Amazon, just like everything else.
Okay. Monk
So
fruit.
if you can't find it in your local store, everything I talked
Oh,
about
you said
today-
monk fruit? That's what it's
Yeah,
called?
it's called monk fruit, and the company that I like is called
MONK.
Lecanto. They seem to be the best. But to answer your question, I have found them everywhere. They're in
Okay.
every supermarket.
No
now.
sugar, use that. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
Use this instead.
do that.
So in your coffee, your tea, you're making something that requires sugar. Use that alternative, and you'll be better off.
Okay. Now let's go back to the sugar. I know sugar's not good for you. I know that. But when it comes to the lectin free, why would Dr. Gundry say avoid sugar?
Well, because what's scary is in both the books, if you read his newest book, Gut Health.
She's just coming out, right?
Right. And yeah, it just came out today. I got an advanced copy a few weeks ago, so I got to read it already. But also in his original book, The Plant Paradox, what he says is that he believes, and I believe too, that sugar causes cancer. And there's been evidence, scientific evidence, that the carbohydrate attaches itself to tumors. And this is not just him talking, but there are studies that have been done with that. And these carbohydrates were not the type of carbohydrate that humans produce. So it must have come from an outside source, something that was ingested.
Interesting.
So sugar is so bad, and I have to tell you, I believe that sugar causes cancer.
Right. And it certainly adds weight to you, and so there's a whole bunch of reasons to try to avoid sugar.
Well, also keep this in mind. It causes inflammation. Okay, so you know fungus and the bad bacteria, everything feeds off of the sugar.
Do you take turmeric?
No, I don't.
Okay, you know what turmeric is.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, it's a super anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
So I've been taking it. It's helped me with my back. I thought that might have been mentioned or something like that
Okay.
in one of his books. But
It might have been.
okay.
Yeah.
But my dad told me about that. Stevia? It's
Yeah.
stevia.
Yeah. No, stevia is also.
Well, that at Whole
Yeah.
Foods they sell Uncle Matt's, which is a lemonade,
Right.
and it's the only drink other than water that has 50 calories, zero sugar.
Right.
So please tell me I can
Stevia
drink.
is good.
Good.
Stevia is good. Stevia's on the yes
All right,
list.
so I'll drink Uncle Matt's all day.
Yes,
not all day
yes,
long, but I'll drink it.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's so. Once in a while, you throw me a bone,
Sure,
Hector.
sure, of course.
So you're
But
keeping me.
I gotta show you this. No, I gotta show you this. If your viewers could see this list, see the green items.
Producer,
The green items on the list. There's a lot more.
those are good. Red or bad?
Yeah, in my list, I have 1, 2, 3 pages of food that are good, and of course, it's not an
Good to know.
exclusive list. And there's only 2 pages.
So I expect to have it
There's
on my
only
desk.
1 page of bad foods.
I expect to have it on my desk tomorrow morning.
Yes, you will.
Okay, because
Yes,
I
you
need to
will.
eat right. All right. Somebody said, "What
Absolutely.
about?" And I kind of know the answer to this: processed foods.
Processed foods, awful.
Right.
I'm going to put it to you this way. Think about this. Do you know what's in the processed foods?
Well, other than what's on the lengthy list
Right.
of ingredients.
But you read the ingredients. Do you really even recognize what those words are? So that's the problem. Because a lot of
You got to be a chemist.
yes, you do. And the problem with the processed foods is that a lot of what's put in there is man-made chemicals, like preservatives, to have the food last
Right,
longer.
so it lasts longer,
Right.
mouthfeel. Just like Mountain Dew, obviously soda.
Bad.
Red. Double red.
That's on the
Double
red
red.
list. Yes.
But like yellow, I think it's outlawed in like Europe, Mountain Dew. Now, I don't drink it anymore. Maybe like
Okay,
the Super Bowl,
okay.
I'll have a Mountain Dew
Okay.
or something like that. But yellow dye 4.
Okay.
So that I think was outlawed in Europe, but yet we're allowed to consume that here.
That's what's scary. Because think about it. Who's really in control? We would love to think the FDA is protecting us, but it's in reverse. The food industry controls everything.
Wow.
They control the FDA. That's why I don't trust the food industry. I don't trust the FDA. I don't trust doctors. I don't trust the hospitals either.
That's it.
Or the
Stevia.
drug
Someone
companies
said
either.
Mary Beth, stevia is good. We
Stevia is
just
good. Yes.
talked about that. Processed foods bad. Cauliflower crust good. I'm just looking at. What about Heather Cleary? What about vitamins?
Vitamins are excellent. I take a regimen of vitamins every day.
What about Balance of Nature? You heard of Balance? It's if you watch Fox News, it's supplement vegetables and fruits.
Bad.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of these fruits are on the no list, and a lot of them could be potentially high in lectin. So you have to again look at the ingredients and see what are you putting in your mouth every day, and the vegetables. What vegetables are we talking about?
Let's get to we talked a little bit. I like fruits better than vegetables.
Sure.
Give me some vegetables first. Let's say the vegetables to avoid, the red,
Right.
and then the vegetables we can consume with
Okay.
safety.
Well, vegetables to avoid, or we talked about this, the nightshades. So you want to avoid bell peppers, chickpeas, unless
Chickpeas?
you prepare properly.
But out of the can, you're saying no.
Right? No, what you want to do is you want to prepare it using a pressure cooker, and you can follow instructions online. There's all kinds of videos on that, but by putting a lot of these foods in pressure cookers, it seems to eliminate the harmful effects of the lectins. Eggplants are bad. Hummus is bad. Legumes are bad. Melons. I used to love watermelons, but they're
Watermelon
awful,
bad.
awful.
What about pineapple, please?
Bad.
Ah,
Yeah, that I know. They're bad. Yeah, unfortunately, pumpkin is bad. So
I love
now
pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving.
that's terrible for a lot of reasons, not just because of the
You're
pumpkin.
killing me.
I know. I'm sorry, but listen.
Why did I put this guy in the
No,
show?
no,
here?
no, but
I
he-
can't eat
no.
now. I'm going to starve.
But the list of good fruits and vegetables is a lot longer. A lot
Okay,
longer.
let's get to the good stuff, please.
Okay, the good stuff. Apples when they're in season. Artichokes, arugula, asparagus, avocados,
Okay.
basil, blackberries, as we mentioned. All the
Good.
berries, pretty much, except, blueberries lately.
Strawberries.
Strawberries, broccoli, Brussels
Oh,
sprouts.
broccoli, good.
Lettuce, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, chicory, chives, cilantro, collards, let's see what else, garlic, grapefruit, kale. The list goes on and on. Mint, mushrooms, okra. I want to talk about okra.
Okra, okay.
Okra is excellent to eat, especially for anybody who's suffering from IBS issues, where they're really having major problems with digestion, because eating okra on a regular basis seems to help with digesting the lectins. Okay. So I just want to let people know that's a big one that helps. Have you ever had okra?
No.
Okay, what I do as a tip,
I don't think so.
a lot of people have it, but what you could do is in the frozen food section, I think in Whole Foods, I don't know if it's in the regular supermarkets, but I have found okra in there, and I love buying frozen vegetables because they stay fresh for a long time, and I keep it in the freezer, and when I want, I just microwave it.
What about, when you go to like the bodegas?
Yes.
I'm drawing a blank. It's a white veg or plant or something. Oh, jeez, I'm drawing a blank. If someone can help me out here.
Okay. I wanted to add also other vegetables that are good: spinach, seaweed. That's also something that
don't eat
also
seaweed,
helps
but
in the digestion of lectins as well.
But broccoli. All right, now, what if I go?
And I'm sorry, the berries too. Those three things: the berries, the seaweed, and the okra. Those are three superfoods.
Someone help me out here.
Yes.
Julie.
Well,
yucca.
Yucca is cassava also, just so you know. But I love yucca. As a matter of fact,
I love it.
At my favorite Cuban restaurant, Rincon Criollo, that's in Huntington.
Rincon, he played for the Yankees?
I ate yucca yesterday. I love it. Yucca is the best.
So good. I can eat yucca.
Yes.
Okay. So you're winning me back a little bit.
Good.
Now, what if I go to, let's say, a Chinese restaurant and I order a pint of white rice and broccoli?
Good. Yeah, because you see, here's the thing, right? I'm a Cuban American. I grew up on Cuban food. Okay. And the white rice is better than brown rice.
Right.
All right. So, but eat it in moderation. That's all I say.
So the rice and broccoli, I'm not really doing myself harm.
No, you're not.
And there's nutrition in broccoli, obviously.
The broccoli's great.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you this, and anyone who's listening, if you're suffering from any inflammation, I mean anything, whether it's diabetes or even a rash or something that you're embarrassed to talk about, it could be reversed by changing what you put in your body. And also, there's something else we didn't talk about either. Do you know that we have a microbiome in our gut? Have you heard of that term? Okay. So we actually host microorganisms, good bacteria and bad bacteria inside of our gut. So not only is it important to feed yourself, but it's also important to feed the good bacteria to help it grow and have a good balance of the bacteria that's in there. And unfortunately, some of us, like when I was younger, I remember being given antibiotics for almost everything. And unfortunately, the antibiotics, not only did they kill bad bacteria, but they also killed the good bacteria. And the problem with that is if you kill too many good bacteria, it makes room for bad bacteria to grow. And now you have an imbalance of bacteria in your gut biome. Because what they don't teach us is that when you eat food, the common thought was you eat food, you digest the food, whatever you don't eat, it just goes out. Right. And that's it. That's not really what happens. When you eat food, the microorganisms, Dr. Gundry refers to it as your gut buddies, they also eat too. So we have to make sure we feed them. So it's important to include in your regimen prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics.
Very quickly, I want to just tell you something funny. Alfred Hitchcock, the movie Lifeboat. Okay. There's a reason why I'm telling you this.
Okay.
He always had a cameo, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
And to the younger crowd, they probably don't even know who I'm talking about.
I know.
In the movie Lifeboat, because don't forget, there was only about like 7 or 8 actors. A German U-boat hit an American ship and the survivors. How did Alfred Hitchcock make a cameo in Lifeboat?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't even think I saw that movie.
There was a diet in a paper, there was a diet ad, and there was a before and after. He was the before. Because in the beginning of the show, you said the before and after pictures of you,
Right.
stark.
Right.
You know, the 60 pounds. I just wanted to pass that along because he was the before
Oh.
in that one. Now, right, now to put this all together, not an easy diet to follow, but there are a lot of things you can eat and make substitutions, like you said, sweet potatoes, white rice, maybe have an apple instead of 2 oranges, nuts.
But the apples, you have to be careful too, because bitter is better. Don't get the apples that are so sweet.
Don't get the green apples.
That's exactly right. It's better to get.
But God didn't make little green apples.
I know. And then also substitutions.
I'm full of those.
You talked about rice instead of rice. Have you ever heard of millet?
Well, I heard of the word millet, but okay.
Okay, millet is the only grain. It's a grain that has no lectins and safe to eat, and you could prepare it just like you prepare rice.
So you're gonna leave those stuff here, right? Now.
but with the millet, you can make it in a rice cooker or a pressure cooker. Like I make the millet.
How about
in
a pot? Like I make a
you
lot
can
of
make
rice.
it in a pot too.
Similar to how you make rice.
Yes, the same way you make rice.
Can I see this for a second?
Yes, and the directions here are in the back. It actually says here that you'll cooking instructions. Put 2 cups of water to 1 cup of millet.
And not a lot of calories.
By the way,
only 2 grams of sugar.
Wait, time out for a second. Don't focus on calories because it has nothing. We've been taking on the wrong path. Okay. When people talk about calories, good health has nothing to do with calorie counting at all. It just has to do with the quality of food that you're putting in your mouth.
It's good to know. So don't count the calories. Look at what you're putting in.
Yeah, look at what you're putting in and focus on the yes list and the no list.
Right. We're kind of running out of time. We're not going to be able to talk politics tonight.
Okay.
Okay, I'll bring you on for another night of that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Definitely.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you about a minute or whatever you need. I'm going to, as an attorney, every time we finish a case, a trial, we always have a closing argument.
Okay.
What would be to tie this all together? We've been talking about 57 minutes. How would you tie this all together?
Well, I would say that we have an obesity problem here in the United States. And our doctors, our healthcare system, and pharmaceutical companies are all leading us in the wrong direction, and the food industry as well. And too many people are trying to look for a quick fix, and that's why drugs like Ozempic and others are becoming popular, but they're actually killing people, and it's causing more harm than good. So it's very, very important to pay attention and try to navigate your way through the supermarkets and the stores and try to learn what is safe to eat and what's not safe to eat. And one of the reasons why this is very difficult is because we have all this dangerous food all around us every single day.
Absolutely.
And it's hard because it's so convenient to go out and pick up a Snicker bar when you're hungry, but it does take a lot of work to do the research.
What's your health? What's more important than your health?
Yes.
We work hard to make money. Work hard for your
Yes.
health. We got to wrap it up. I want to thank my audience. Oops, dropped my clipboard. I want to thank my audience for watching the show. I got a lot of great comments. I think you gave a lot of information out.
Thank you.
What book should they look at?
Okay, they should read 2 books, The Plant Paradox and also Gut Health, which just came out today. I had an advanced copy. I got to read it. I'm a lectin-free influencer. And
You influenced me tonight.
Go to my website, please, lectinbusters.com, because I'm really trying to help a lot of people to get on the right path.
Thank you. You have a good night. I really want to thank you for coming on. Wonderful. Stick around. Have a good night, everybody.